Hey, I'm Griffin Newman, and you're watching At Random with Ken K.
Hey guys, it's Ken K coming to you from the Comic-Con here in Providence, Rhode Island, and we are here with Griffin Newman from The Tick.
Hello, hi. Happy to be here talking with you.
Yes. So, unfortunately, the Tick is no longer with us, but I've heard that you've been very passionate about trying to get it picked up. So, any progress on that front?
There is not. It is dead for the time being. The contracts that were sort of holding the show together, the cast options, which are limited, not to get too into the nitty-gritty, but the things that allow someone else to sort of just like pick up the show and run with it, have expired. We will certainly look for any opportunity we can to bring the show back.
Yeah.
Should I hold for this?
It's an occupational hazard, unfortunately.
Being located near the loudspeaker. All of us would love to do more of it, and Ben Edlund has no shortage of ideas. We'd love to come back and play the characters. It's a matter of whether, anytime someone wants to put in the work to try to reassemble all the contracts.
Yeah, because, watching the Tick animated series, and it's kind of funny because they have you seated next to Patrick Warburton, who was on the Fox live-action Tick series from a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And it was just a crazy character to discover because I never read the comic books until later on. And it was funny how they kind of set everything up for that first season of The Tick, where I think like the first one or two episodes, they deliberately framed it in such a way as to make it seem like Arthur was just imagining it.
Yeah.
So it was just an interesting concept to see play out, and obviously your cast member, who's Peter, whose name I am terrible.
Serafinowicz. It took me a
Thank
couple
you.
of years. Yeah, but it's Serafinowicz.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most people will probably know from, British television and film, Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
And he just has this great wit about him in how he presents himself, and not necessarily deadpan, but just very straightforward and earnest.
Yeah, I think that's the key to the character. Even though Townsend Coleman, who played the Tick on the cartoon, and Patrick and Peter all had very different interpretations of the character, I think that's the big through line, is that he's a very sincere, very earnest character. And within that, you can modulate sort of different elements of it, you know? I think the cartoon version was weirdly a little more aggressive, and Patrick was a little more clueless, and Peter's a little more childlike and innocent, but they all have that sort of genuine sort of sincerity to them.
I think the thing that is definitely most memorable about the animated series was the villains, because they just had great character designs, but also whoever was in charge of voice casting just always got really great people.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things I really loved about it. So for you, coming into the role of Arthur and having this interesting dynamic between you and the Tick, what would you say was the biggest challenge for you as far as bringing that character to life?
I think the challenge is what you said, is the dynamic. I mean, we got cast separately. I had the role, and they were still looking for someone to play the Tick, because it's very hard to find someone who is 6'5" and in superhero shape and incredibly funny and a good actor. There are not that many people. They had to go all the way to England to find someone, to find the perfect person.
Keep taking our jobs.
All our American superheroes.
Like, it really, Man, Superman, Spider-Man, Thor. It's ridiculous. I feel like someone has to, put on a telethon or go on a search of their own to find American actors who can play our American superheroes. And all I care about is if you cast a Canadian as Wolverine, because I'm from Canada. So that's all I care about.
I'd say that is important. I would love to see a Canadian Wolverine. I will say, as I guess what the kids today would call a short king, would love to see a Wolverine who is under 6 feet tall. A hairy Canadian who is 5'4".
As it should be. Yes, absolutely.
But the difficult thing was, as you said, it was the Tick and Arthur are such a duo act that I think we both knew once Peter had been cast and we met that we had to work really hard to make our performances sort of harmonize together and sync, because the show is going to sink or swim based on the chemistry between the two of us. So we were very collaborative in all of our scenes, not just rehearsing our lines separately, but really trying to work it like we were a comedy team. Because if you're a fan of The Tick, there's a way The Tick and Arthur a rhythm they need to have, and an interplay, and a chemistry, and all of that. So that was the main thing I think we really worked on, was trying to make it feel like that relationship was right.
Okay. Now, you seem to... Would it be fair for me to say that you yourself are a bit of a comic book fan?
Oh, very much fair to say. Huge comic book fan, and have been attending Comic Cons for decades. So I'm very happy to now be able to not only attend them for free, but to get money to be here, which I can then convert into buying stuff here.
Well, I mean, that is always the thing, just going through the vendors at any given Comic-Con and seeing stuff that you want to buy. Always for me, it's...
People gotta meet the Griswolds. They got it. What are you gonna do?
I am here interviewing Griffin Newman. Nobody cares about meeting the Griswolds of the vacation films.
Who is that?
It's tough. Yeah.
I love buying things. It is very nice to have an excuse to be at these things and to have money that I can immediately turn around into buying things.
So no home ownership, no like retirement fund, just buying geek stuff.
Well, the acting is the long-term money savings, and the Comic-Con money is to spend at Comic-Con. It's kind of Vegas rules.
So it's just
what you earn
the
at
house
Comic-Con
always
stays
wins.
at Comic-Con. Yeah.
It's the circle of life, and they pass the savings on to you.
Yes, the convention always wins. Yeah.
Yeah. That it does. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So you also have a podcast as well.
Yeah,
you want to tell some folks about that as well?
Yeah, it's called Blank Check with Griffin and David, and I host it with David Sims, who's the film critic for The Atlantic. And it's about sort of when movie directors get blank check status.
Yeah.
When they make like a big hit film and get to make whatever, as we put it, crazy passion projects they want. So we've done M. Night Shyamalan and the Wachowskis and Spielberg and Christopher Nolan and James Cameron and a bunch of people. We've been doing it for about 5 years now.
So bearing that in mind, if you had a blank check as far as like a passion project you'd like to see done, if you had like free reign over who gets to be in it, who's directing, who's writing.
Oh man.
What's your dream project?
My favorite superhero property is the Fantastic Four. I love the Fantastic Four. In high school, I would stay up late writing my own Fantastic Four screenplay. My college admissions essay was on the Fantastic Four.
Wow.
I spent so much time thinking about what I thought the perfect live-action Fantastic Four movie would be, and then I had to see 3 movies in a row that were very much not the perfect live-action Fantastic Four movie.
Ooh, yeah.
So I know it's back in Marvel's hands now.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see what they do with it. Peyton Reed, who directed the Ant-Man movies, was originally supposed to do a Fantastic Four movie in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And his movie was going to be set in the 60s.
Yeah.
And that sort of classic Lee and Kirby pop sensibility, which I would kind of love to see actually happen now.
I mean, if his previous films are any indication, I feel like he'd be a good fit for that.
Yeah.
Although I keep seeing people who have their choice for who they think Mr. Fantastic should be, and I'm just keep asking myself, why do people keep spelling Timothy Oliphant's name wrong?
It's a good question. That is a good question.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
But anyway, Griffin, thank you so much for taking the time to talk. It's been fabulous, and I hope you're enjoying the rest of the con. I hope you get to buy some good swag to take home with you.
And let's unite in the cause, between the two of us, a short Canadian Wolverine for our future.
Yeah, we stand on guard for thee.
Yes.